In spite of all the refinements of civilization that conspired to make art the dizzying perfection of a string quartet or a sprawling grandeur of canvas, beauty was savage. It was as dangerous and lawless as earth had been eons before man had one single coherent thought in his head or wrote codes of conduct on tablets of clay. Beauty was a savage garden. The Vampire Lestat. Quote that I've just read is from a book I read long ago, and it describes perfectly the world we live in. I'm about to read some poetry that hopefully links there. And hey, it's me again, doing a shitty poetry video. So, without further ado, meet me in a savage garden where wildflowers grow. We will sow seeds of apathy. Watch them turn to sorrow. We will hide in giant oaks, cast doubt upon ourselves. Meet me in a savage garden, let the rot take our souls. Yellow dress, daydream. She wore a yellow dress, not quite pretty enough to be in vogue, but to me her soft eyes and hard face was just about the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. The tattooed thigh with flowers growing up them, like Mother Nature had sent lengthy vines to recapture this escaped flower plucked from the forbidden soil long ago. But she endured the violence of storms, the painful realization of some things are meant to be stifled as others grew wild and free, bloomed and seeded a new kind of her. She wore a yellow dress that flowed in the wind as her dirty knees danced in a field, ringing and swirling as if possessed by music only she could hear. Face set to savage indifference, but her perfect brunette hair lay in leaf litter. Her puffed up cheeks and blue smoke swirled, and the smell of Mary Jane held nothing but heaven in my nostrils. She was like I, damaged and lost, but she still fought the tempests that would overwhelm most people. She wore a yellow dress, in a vision I once had. Now it seems like that is all I can remember. A little bit of mine. I want someone for me, someone who sees the past the pretend, the plaster cast mask I wear when attacked, the pretentiousness that's used as a shield, that only yields after time. I want a little bit of mine. If you were them, you wouldn't have to love me as much as I. I understand that it's scary at times. You wouldn't have to be obsessed with success. Just ground me when I need a rest. You wouldn't have to show me to anyone. I'd be your secret until the chance comes. All you have to keep in mind is you're a little bit of mine. I don't want fancy dates, just someone who can eliminate my self-hate. Someone who's there all the time as just a little bit of mine. Stopped looking for you. It was a light that hovered at night, tempting to see if it was on. But so bright it would blind me. I was drawn to your name like a moth, knowing that if I'd touched you, I'd surely burn my fragile wings. Part in sadness, your voice became a memory. Your nude form, an artistic classic with no name, only a face I once recognised. I wanted to be in love with the idea of you, but you were no longer the full picture. Your inspiration and tempting muse-like qualities faded like it was bleached in the filter of my mind. I hadn't forgotten you, but my feelings felt somewhat duller. I moved from the stage of my life where you were all I had, all I clinged to. I saw you now across the street and felt no past connection. No regretful angst, only a girl doing her job. As time drew the lines of life, your name was not slipped from my tongue. The jealousy I felt when others spoke gone, and then I stopped looking for you entirely. I think you're like a man that has lost an arm or a leg and insists he can feel pain where the arm and leg used to be. It's from the interview with a vampire. So many people ask why I write poetry, like it's the oddest thing that anyone could do. And it's only a collection of fancy words after all. But to me, it's a way of life. I've always struggled with finding myself, and even now I find myself at times lost. The next couple of poems are about that sense of loss. An open letter to someone who won't read it. Dear you, I'd like to say sorry, but I can't figure out what I'm apologising for. The way I treated you, but I don't think I treated you badly, or any worse than what people have or will do. My narcissism, but they tend to not feel anything, and I have too many feelings. My depression and anxiety proves that. Maybe it was the way I was out of touch. Loved too much for technological times. My chat failed too many times. My sarcastic wit born out of protection was too real. I don't know. Perhaps sorry is not what I want to say. Perhaps I just want to say, I miss you. Yours forever, me. Lost in the layers. I get lost in the layers of me, between the irony of the lines, the deep thoughts and neurosis, and I disappear in the mirror. It cracks and forms my daily masks, and I find those layers so complex they overwhelm me. The ego takes over the core, the insecurities take over the shore, and the dark thoughts take my levity. I try to reset and sit in silence whilst the child in me screams, "Why are you lying to me?" But my bitterness and cynicism shut its tantrum down, stifles it, suffocates it, and sends it to sleep. Seriousness takes over humour, the hippie philosophy takes over truth, and the more I control the chaos, the more my masks become. I'm lost in layers of me, awash in silence, with a monster on the mirror I now hardly recognise. It only makes me feel lost, more lost. I don't get the impression that I'm here. At times I wonder if this is some purgatory, and in reality it probably is, but give me a break. Because what people don't understand is that I'm a fragile man, too heady, too deep, but it's the me I try to keep. I've been superficial, I've played the field, but none of that ever felt real, and the more I try to be honest and true, the more lost I am to modern times. I spent most of my time just getting by because people scare me and they make me feel incomplete, and in my head it's always a competition. How do I get better at this situation? I can do it, but only for a time, till I get bored or lose my mind, and then I'm the one victimized because I don't want to be disguised. I spent so much time hiding in this modern world I reside in, only loses me more. Then there is when there's an escape from the savage garden, the love, the loss, the fantasy it entails, and the wonder. And this is the poem. Only when I'm hungover I feel most sober. When a herd of elephants stamp through my head, all evil thoughts are quiet. When my body aches, my heart can no longer. I worry perhaps I'm an alcoholic, perhaps in reverse. I drink not to escape, but to get the escapism of the hungover me. The silence of the mind. It's bliss. There are so many great quotes in the world, and two in this performance are from Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. But I'll finish with this quote from another book called 12 by Jasper Kent, and it really highlights what my poetry is to me. I hope you've stuck with me and have gained something, or just silently judged a man reading crappy poetry. A man's consciousness shouts much more loudly in past tense than it ever manages to in the present. Thank you.